Hey everybody, this week is my birthday, so I decided to make this week special for the channel and make a video every day, Monday through Friday. Each video will talk either about Heroclix or Pokemon TCG, and the final video will talk about this channel itself. Thank you everyone who supports this channel, and I hope you enjoy these videos. Hey everybody, this is Matt. I'm making a new Heroclix video, and this video is going to be all about my top 5 Heroclix pieces of all time. Now, there's a bit more than 5 here, and that's because I chose 5, and then I was like, well, there's a bunch of other pieces I've liked in the past, but they weren't like eligible to be in my top 5. So I also chose like 5 runner-ups. So this is kind of like a top 10, but it's not really a top 10, and it's not really in order of like my favorite to my least favorite. It's more in order of like oldest to newest. You know, as I got the piece, you know, as the years went by, I got more pieces. So let's just jump into this. And these are pieces that I'm not saying these are the best pieces in the game or that they're even competitive pieces. These are just pieces that meant the most to me when I was playing the game. So let's just start out with Cosmic Boy. Now, he is 70 points, and he comes from the Legion of Superheroes collector set. And the Legion of Superheroes collector set was the very first Heroclix product I ever owned. You know, I started playing the game when Hammer of Thor came out. And when that came out, people were like, well, you can start collecting the stuff that has cards to it. So this was the first product I ever bought. And when I first started playing Heroclix, I was a DC only player. So, you know, I didn't want to buy any Hammer of Thor. So I started going back into the past sets and buying up like any DC stuff I could find. And I found the Legion of Superheroes collector set, and it came out before Justice League and Avengers. So like maybe late 2006, but I got it around 2009 or 2010. And this piece was just so important to me because I played the heck out of the Legion of Superheroes. I loved that they were all wild cards. You know, so you know, I could copy Mystics and they'd all get Mystics, or I could copy Fantastic Four and they'd all get Fantastic Four, or you know, they're so really cool. But this dude was kind of like the leader of them all, you know, and you know, he had the telekinesis and the willpower and the leadership, and he could leadership off of most of them because other than one or two or three of them, they were all below 70 points. And this dude was just like the main man. I used him. I ended up getting 2 of him and just using 2 of them because it was just so important to TK out a charger, TK out a running shotter, just any of that kind of stuff, you know. And he was really important. You know, I never did soar with him. I'm looking at the stand right now and be like, oh look, he can soar, because that's what that plastic stand is all about. Basically, you would raise up this bar on the left side and be like, okay, now he's soaring. And I think it was like you couldn't target him and he couldn't target you or something. I don't know, but I never did that. Nobody was ever soaring by the time I got into the game of Hammer of Thor. But this dude was killer. You know, he has the telekinesis, almost his entire dial, has willpower, almost his entire dial, leadership, half of his dial. Wild card, 6 range. He was flying. Well, they were all flying because they were Legion of Superheroes. But still, you know, even once I started growing and not just using Legion of Superheroes, he was also good for other teams because he's the wild card, carrier, leadership, TK, willpower. I mean, just he was the bomb for me. He really was, and I loved the collector set. It was a really nice collector set. So the next piece that was pretty epic for me was the Spectre, and he was epic for multiple reasons. One was when I first got into the game, I bought a brick of Crisis and a brick of Arkham Asylum because those were the 2 most recent DC sets at that time. And I pulled this dude, and he was a super rare from Crisis. He's 234 points, dude. Back then, that was basically your entire freaking team. So he was just a beat stick. I mean, if you look at his dial, you know, 5 damage, 11 attack. That's crazy back in the day, you know. And charge, phasing with Justice Society, and this is probably the start of my love with Justice Society was this Spectre dude, because you know you could run him, and even if you pushed him onto his second click, he get that 19 defense. Then he'd share it with the Justice Society team ability, and he was quintessence, and so he could push, you know, and not take any damage, and he was hitting for 5 damage, and he was just a freaking amazing sculpt. I mean, just this guy was so awesome. I played him so much, and the 10 whopping range, dude. I mean, you pull out any piece nowadays that have 10 range, and that's godly, you know. He was just killer. I absolutely love this piece. Just the look of him, just the way he played. He was such a strong piece back in the day. JSA, just everything. I loved this piece, dude. So then we get a little bit more recent. Hammer of Thor goes by, and now we're messing with Whiz Kids, the newer Whiz Kids, and we have Green Lantern, or I mean, you could say Alan Scott from the DC anniversary set. And this piece was really cool for multiple reasons. He was a super rare, 145 points. What was cool about him was he had 2 really good keywords. He had Gotham City and Justice Society. You know, and Gotham City was a cool keyword because, you know, there was cops you could play in with, there was Batman characters you could play in with, just a lot of cool stuff. And then again, also Justice Society, and he was indomitable. I mean, this was, you know, one of my few indomitable pieces was him. 8 range, can't go wrong with that. He had running shot, impervious on his top click. That was really strong back in the day. Impervious, you know. And then he ignores stealth, you know, and that starting special power on its attack and everything, incapacitate, psychic blast, and telekinesis. He was just so good. Now, yeah, if you hit him off of the impervious, he definitely started folding a bit, you know. But you know, if you couldn't hit him off the impervious, like if he sat down in stealth, okay. If he sat down in stealth and they were like having to hit an 18, oh, but he has Justice Society, like you could combine the two of these dudes, you know, and be like, I'm gonna share the 19 from Spectre onto Green Lantern, you know. I mean, of course, it'd have to be like 500 points or something, but you know, we had games that big back in the day. Just I love this piece, you know, Gotham City, Justice Society. There's very few times he got knocked off that impervious, and he was just a great piece. I just, you know, I just really liked him, and it just continues my love for JSA and why I'm so excited for Joker's Wild coming out in a month almost, you know. So the next piece, and this is, I mean, if I had to rank them overall, like my favorite to my least favorite, this would be my #1 favorite figure ever made. And you have to know me to know why I love this piece. And that is White Lantern Hal Jordan. You just read his trait. His trait is why I love him. Uniter of all corps. As you reveal your force, you may choose a keyword with Lantern in its name, or Indigo Tribe, or Sinestro Corps. And back in the day, Star Sapphires were called Violet Lanterns. So, you know. Hal Jordan possesses that keyword this game in addition to his other keywords. So, you know, I don't know when it really was when I started, like, really doing Green Lantern characters and collecting them and stuff. But at a certain point, I really went into it collecting Green Lantern characters. If it was Green Lantern or any of the Color Lantern Corps, I wanted it. They were my favorite thing. You know, Jeff Johns had come up with Green Lantern Rebirth, and then he, you know, expanded upon it with, you know, more emphasis with the Sinestro Corps, more emphasis with all these new colored cores, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, black, and white. You know, and I love them all. You know, I'm an artist, and I love colors, and I just loved seeing Green Lantern with all the different colors and stuff. But it was so hard because, you know, we had the Blackest Night Fast Forces. We had, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there. Anniversary brought some good pieces, I'll give it that. But it was still really hard to make teams, you know? Really hard to make teams. Theme teams. And that's basically all I played was theme teams. And this dude saw so much play for me because because he could play on any of the lantern cores. If I wanted to run him with blue lanterns, I could do that. If I wanted to run him with orange lanterns, and back in the day, it was just like Larfleeze and Lex Luthor. That's it. I could do that. If I wanted to run him with black lanterns, I could do that. And he allowed me to make team after team after team, and he's no joke. 8 range double target, 155 points, running shot, telekinesis, shape change, impervious. I mean, great stuff. He heals up whenever you get leadership, so that can be useful for him. He's okay. Back in the day, a 9 attack wasn't the worst thing in the world. So for him to stay at 10 all the way until the last 2 clicks was pretty nice, actually. And the white lanterns, these white lanterns have such a big meaning for me in general, just because of the journey I had to take to collect them all. And I can say I have all the DC 75th anniversary white lanterns because of the journey and all I had to trade to get them all and stuff. And it's probably my favorite figures. My most favorite meaning. You know what I'm trying to say. They have the most meaning for me. So next piece, and this is talking about another lantern. This is Blue Lantern Flash, and he's just cool. Back in the day when they were making all the lantern characters, a lot of them were kind of the same. Some good range, maybe some running shot, maybe you get a rare one with charge like Kilowog or something, and that's about it. You never seen any kind of lantern piece with hypersonic speed. And the Blackest Night starter set, it's probably one of my favorite starter sets ever to come out, ever. And because it was so cool to see Wonder Woman as a lantern, the Atom as a lantern, Flash as a lantern, Lex Luthor as a lantern. Even though he was a bad guy, he looked freaking cool in that clear armor of his. So, 18 defense, super senses, 14 hypersonic speed, enhancement. So, one combo I did was these two together, basically. And he would TK out the Flash. The Flash would punch somebody for 3 or something and come back. And then the Flash's enhancement could boost up Hal Jordan's damage. And Hal Jordan could easily, say, I'm a Blue Lantern this game. So, you had the theme team right there, And also the Flash can use Perplex, to target other friendly characters. So I just loved them. I love the idea of a Blue Lantern Flash. They could honestly make a Sinestro Flash too, because during Blackest Night and multiple times in the past, I think Sinestro's taken over the Flash. So it used to be back in the day, every time a DC set would come out, I would go, oh, what lanterns are there? What lantern? What lantern? Is that a lantern? Is that a lantern? Is that a lantern? And that's why I was so happy to see Warlight come out. That was my favorite set of all time, because I didn't have to go what's the one lantern in the set that I gotta collect, The whole freaking set was lanterns, But this piece, I played him so freaking much. He was so cool, dude. I loved him. So those are my top 5 pieces. And then I had 5 runner-ups, And these were characters that I played and I enjoyed, but they didn't really, they weren't, the top 5 for me. And so these are not in any kind of order. I'm just going to go through them, whatever. So the one I want to show off first is the Question. And she came from Arkham Asylum set. And I got her really early on, and she was 37 points, which was just super cheap back in the day, And she had stealth, smoke cloud. I didn't really use the smoke cloud that much, but it was helpful with her having stealth and stuff. Willpower was nice. This was back before all the pieces with Indomitable, willpower was nice. And then she had Ask the Question special damage. Once during your turn, she can use Outwit or Perplex, And then when she uses Perplex, she can modify the combat values of only opposing characters. So, cheap Outwit, cheap Perplex. 6 range was really decent. If needed, you could Outwit Impervious and poke somebody for 2. I mean, I remember I wanted multiple of her, like, 3 or 4 of her, and just play them all, She was so good. This is Renee Montoya, if you don't know. And she's the New Age question. Well, if you don't think about New 52. Um, so yeah, I really love this piece. It was a great piece. I rocked the heck out of her, used her a lot, and she was just really good. And then this next piece has a little bit more meaning for me. I played him a whole lot, and it was interesting because I didn't really want to play bad guys back in the day. Yeah, I still don't really like to play bad guys, but this was like the first bad guy that I played just because his ability was so dang good. And that piece was Edward Nigma, and he was from a organized play prize kit for Arkham Asylum. And basically, 60-point outwit, is that incapacitate? That's incapacitate, 6 range, and then a special defense, which was killer. A man reborn. Edward Nigma can use enhancement and mastermind. That's nice. Enhancement is always nice, so you can boost up whoever's next on. When an action token would be given to a character adjacent to Edward Nigma, you can instead give it to Edward Nigma and roll a d6 on a 1. Deal Edward Nigma 1 unavoidable. Oh no, deal 1 unavoidable damage to the adjacent character. So yeah, I mean, I guess back in the day we had feats and stuff, and there was Warbound, which would allow you to give an action token to another character and stuff. But this was just an easy, cheap 60-point piece I could just put next to somebody, and let's say I put it next to Spectre, and Spectre's does 5 damage to someone and kills them, and instead of him getting a token, I give it to Edward Nigma, and maybe Spectre gets hit for 1, maybe, on a 1 out of 6, that didn't happen that often, and you could maybe even prob it too if you had somebody with prob, And the next turn, oh, okay. Oh no, what you would do first turn, Spectre would attack. Second turn, you would check the token on Edward Nigma, but because Spectre didn't get a token this turn, he would clear. So, and then the next turn, Spectre would attack, Edward Nigma would clear. So basically, whoever you pal them around with could attack every single turn, and maybe take 1 damage. Maybe take 1 damage. It was killer. I loved the piece. All my friends loved the piece. He was just so good. So the next piece I want to talk about is Raney Hole. She is from the Green Lantern movie Gravity Feed. Now, I won't say much about the Green Lantern movie, okay? I know it's not the best, far from the best movie, okay? I get it. But the Green Lantern movie Gravity Feed was the best thing that happened to Green Lantern Heroclix players since Warlight, or before Warlight. It was the best thing, because when I first started playing Heroclix and I wanted to collect Green Lantern pieces, we had Hal Jordan, Green Lantern Hal Jordan, John Stewart, Guy Gardner, maybe a Kyle Rayner. We did have, to be fair, we did have the Green Lantern collector set, but that was pre-carded stuff. I mean, once you get around the Hammer of Thor times, some of that pre-carded stuff just didn't work, And all these Green Lanterns, Hal Jordan, John Stewart, Guy Gardner, Kyle Rayner, they were all over 100 points. There was so few of them that was under 100 points. And back in the day, for it to be a theme team, you had to have a certain amount of pieces with the keyword. So you'd have to have, for like a 300-point team, have to have like 3 pieces or something with the keyword. And I just couldn't do it. Hal Jordan would be 110 points, Guy Gardner would be 130 or something, and Kyle Rayner would be 100, and you couldn't do it. You just couldn't do it. And that's when the Green Lantern movie Gravity Feed and Fast Forces came out. And we suddenly got like 25 new pieces with Green Lantern keyword. And totally different things. And this piece was 50 points. And I was like, holy crap, dude. I can make a theme team now. Easier. 8 range. 3 damage, can hit from stealth, doesn't have Green Lantern team ability. They were smart. They realized, what's the point of giving them all Green Lantern team ability if they're all flying and they can't carry each other? You know? Yes, most of them, I guess almost all of them were flying in the gravity feed. I get that. It wasn't until much later on that they actually start making Green Lanterns without flight. But still, you know, she was 50 points, and I could fill out those teams. Yeah, maybe like 15 to 20 points under 300. But still, I could make a 3-person Green Lantern team now. You know? And there was so many pieces in that set that was so good. You know, so many pieces. The Kilowoggs, I love the Kilowoggs. The guy with the 6 arms, I forget his name, or the 4 arms, I forget his name. I wish, dang, I can't, he has a weird name. But he was cool at 100 points. But this girl was 50 points. I could put her on any team, Green Lantern team, and she did her job, you know. Had a support late game, pulse wave late game, kind of hard to hit the entire game. Good stuff, you know, and I was just so happy to have that Green Lantern movie gravity feed. So that does prove that good things can come out of bad products. So there you go. So one of the last few pieces I want to talk about is Deadshot from DC 75th anniversary. Ooh. And he was just a cool piece. And I've actually played him recently too, because I mean this is one of those few pieces that his starting stats are just ridiculous, and he's still really good, you know. And they're continuing to make Secret Six pieces, and he also has Gotham City and Suicide Squad, so he has some really freaking good keywords. He has 8 range double target. He's only 89 points. 8 range double target stealth sharpshooter with 12 attack, and basically his special attack is if he has no action tokens and occupies hindering terrain, he can use range combat expert and deals penetrating damage with that attack. So basically you already have a 12 attack, so you don't need to bump up your attack. So you can go 4 damage penetrating if you have no action tokens. And it was just killer. I mean, next turn you would probably just snipe whoever, then or you just clear. I mean, seriously, that's probably what you would do. You would do the range combat expert, then you'd clear, then you do the range combat expert, then you clear. He was killer. He was killer. And the only reason I don't play him as much anymore is because they came out with a new Deadshot and a monthly organized play prize kit that is really, really good too. But this piece was just killer. Again, he was a bad guy, but you know, I like to collect the Secret Six in the past. All the Arkham Asylum Secret Six pieces, with all the pieces that came after that, like the Bane and just good pieces, the anniversary pieces, like Black Alice and stuff. I mean, just great pieces. I loved playing Secret Six. They were a really fun group, and that's why he's on the list. And finally, I don't know if you've noticed, but every single piece has been DC. I didn't do that on purpose, but it just happened to be like that because basically for like the first 2 or 3 years of me playing Heroclix, I only collected DC. But you know, as certain sets came out, I was like, I have to collect that. You know, Giant Size X-Men came out, I have to collect that. You know, Fantastic Four pieces. Okay, I'm just gonna get into it. Okay, the last piece is the Thing, and this is a more recent piece. When I say recent, it's not as super old. But I just love this piece. I love this piece. But let me just tell you my history with Fantastic Four, since we're doing this whole week of, you know, memories thing. Fantastic Four. So I told you about how the Legion of Superheroes collector set was the very first HeroClix product I ever bought. Well, the very second HeroClix product I ever bought was the Fantastic Four collector set, and that came out around the time of Secret Invasion, and it had all Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom and maybe even a Doombot or something. And the Fantastic Four were so cool. They were each 100 points, and it was just easy to make a 3-man 300-point team. I could do, you know, Mr. Fantastic, the Human Torch, and the Thing, or I could do Miss Invisible, or Sue Storm, and the Thing and Human Torch. I always went to Human Torch and the Thing because I wanted someone that could charge up and punch you, and someone that could run in shot and punch you or shoot you. And swap between the two. And whenever we did a 400-point team, I ran all 4 of them, and I love those pieces. I even started collecting some of the unique ones from the Secret Invasion set. So basically, they had the same exact sculpt, but a slightly different dial. Sometimes better, but it was still cool to mix and match them. Then between the collector set ones and the ones from the set. And I fell in love with the Fantastic Four then. And I look back and I'm really depressed with how the Fantastic Four are treated in Heroclix in a while lately. Basically, this is the anniversary thing, and I'm not exactly sure where it falls between this and Galactic Guardians and stuff, but I believe this is the last thing they've ever made, and this came out like 4 years ago, and I mean it's not like they can't come up with new things or anything. I mean he's a part of the Guardians of the Galaxy right now in the Marvel Comics. If they ever made more Guardians of the Galaxy, they could make him. Human Torch, he's with the Inhumans right now. We just, we got an Inhuman or two recently with Miss Marvel, with a few other Inhumans, Sue Storm, Mr. Fantastic, they were a huge part of Age of Ultron and Civil War, and they just didn't even get made. And it's just depressing just to look back and be like, I want to make a Fantastic Four theme team, and I'm having to use the Atom and She-Hulk, not Atom, Ant-Man and She-Hulk and Medusa, and come on, WizKids, or come on, Marvel, whoever's really controlling that stuff. Well, you can do better than that. But I wanted to talk about the Thing. This piece is fantastic. He's 82 points. It's very cost effective. The Fantastic Four had a similar issue with the Green Lanterns where, I was talking about how each piece was 100 points. Well, whenever they come out with a new piece that was over 100 points, let's say 120 points or something, it was very hard to even run any other 2 pieces with them. Because, you couldn't do 120, 100, 100 and fit that into 300 points, So, with an 82 point Thing, you could fit him with like a higher than 100 point Fantastic Four piece. He was Fantastic Four team ability, impervious 2 clicks, invulnerability 2 clicks, toughness 2 clicks, super sturdy, indomitable, 4 damage charge. He could pick up a heavy, smacky for 6. He's just great, and he could battle promote, but honestly, battle promotion when it first came out, it was just not good. Not good. How many times did you have to hit somebody before you could maybe even battle promote? Very, very small, okay? Not very. You had to hit them like 20 times before you could battle promote. You're like, oh yeah, I battle promote on my last click, and then he comes in on his last click, and oh, he's dead. Okay. So, I never really battle promoted him, even though I do own the other Thing. But this one was so good. I loved him. And, I would still run him if we had more Fantastic Four pieces. Sadly, I had to retire them from my display cases to put in turtle stuff and stuff. Stuff that's actively getting support from WizKids and sets like that. But still, the Thing holds a sweet spot in my heart. And basically, yeah, that's it for that. So those were the top 5 and then 5 runner-ups of my favorite Heroclix pieces of all time. Thank you so much for taking the long time out of your day, because this is a much longer video, to walk down memory lane with me and talk about some of my favorite Heroclix pieces. I hope you've enjoyed watching this, and I hope you learned a little bit more about me today. And I hope you have a fantastic time playing Heroclix in the future. And thank you so much for all the support, and have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.